Welcome back. This is Lone Wolf, and we're playing Vintage Story 119.5. And we're mining some copper. And we mined all the copper that we know of. Now we're checking to see what I haven't gotten. Using the prospecting pick, or as we call it, the ProPick. Oh, come on, Wolf. Medium. Okay. So there's definitely more copper here. Copper that way. Large. Okay. There's definitely more copper here. Excellent. Now let's see what I can do about finding it. I'm going to guess that it goes down, but I don't have any idea where it is. So it looks like what we're seeing is signs from a second deposit, but I don't know. I've got to use the prospecting pick to find where it is. So it looks like it could be up. Okay, excellent. Ha ha ha! If I didn't have the prospecting pick, I wouldn't know this is here, and I'd just be leaving this behind. Proper use of the prospecting pick will change your ability as a miner. It's not actually difficult to use, but it's also not obvious. And I'm not going to go into a full training mode here for the prospecting pick. There are many out there, by the way, and I certainly have no problem. Okay, there we go. Certainly have no problem teaching it. Maybe I'll put together a tutorial on it. But the prospecting pick, holy cow! Once you understand it, you will know what it is to have a really good friend. Prospecting pick will make all of your mining more successful. Well, there has to be something to mine, of course. It looks like the copper's going up, which it did. But is there more? Okay, trace, quartz trace. Okay, so we got... This is telling me that we got most, if not all, of that large deposit. Now, we did have a reading of medium over here. I'm going to assume that that was connected to what I just mined, but it might not be. Okay, so I think what we've done here is all the copper, but I'm going to so there are two modes for the prospecting pick. There's the density search mode, long range, chance-based search. There's the node search mode. So this is your tutorial. It's not going to be complete. The node search mode is short range and exact search. What does that mean? Well, this, if you read right over here when I'm over it, chance-based, okay? So it's gonna give us two pieces of information. In between the two pieces of information, you have to interpret what they are telling you. not just automatically straightforward. All right. So what this is doing, this is like the other voxel game, whatever. It's like Minecraft. A chunk is a 32 by 32 by 32 piece of the world. Prospecting pick in node search mode gives you information about the possibilities of ores forming in what's called a column chunk. A column chunk begins at the mantle, the bottom of the world, and extends all the way up to max height in the world. And these readings here tell us what the possibilities were. So it's 32 by 32 all the way to max height and all the way down to the mantle. So you get this reading, you don't know where in this column chunk this stuff exists. But remember this. This says chance. Okay, chance. If you've watched my series, you've seen that I have expended enormous amounts of time chasing an extremely positive reading for hematite. And I never found any. It was the word here gives you a clue about the chance that whatever this is exists in the column chunk. Here this says poor, and then it tells us what ore it's talking about, which is malachite. Okay, so it gives us a word that describes the chance. Then it tells us what this is describing. Then there's this part here. It's easy to read this wrong and think that that says 5.33%. Well, kind of looks like that, but that's not what this symbol means. This is per 1,000 blocks. So if you were to mine 1,000 blocks, it says that you probably get 5 1/3 of this material. Now here it says poor bituminous coal, which is brown, no, it's black coal. Anyways, it's coal. And it says poor, but look at the difference. This is, 7.63 parts per thousand in the column chunk. And so you read through these things. So this gives you an idea of what is in the column chunk that we just tested using density search mode. Now you saw me earlier using node search mode. Why did I use that instead of this? Well, this is exact search. What the information it provides to me is known to be. Okay? If it says trace, large, whatever, that is exact. It is precise. What it is telling you is correct, and you can count on it. You don't know how far, okay? When you do node search mode, when you create your world, you can set the value of the range, okay? Short range. Mine in my world is set at 6. So that means when I am checking this block right here, it's looking 6 off to the south, 6 to the east, north and west, and 6 up and 6 down. So it's checking quite a large area, but it's only going, cubic of 6. So you know that when you get a reading, you're very close to whatever it is it says is actually there. Okay. So when I'm mining a place, I want to make sure that I've collected all of whatever it was that I was mining. And so that's why I got the prospecting pick out and I had it set in node search. But then I wanted to know what else was here. I wanted to know in this column chunk what things might exist. So I changed it to node search, and you can see here this symbolizes node search. If I change it to density search, if I change it to node search, it shows the different symbol. So we changed it to here, and now we know up to the maximum limit height all the way down to mantle what might be here. You have to pay attention to that word might, because it is not guaranteed. You go back and watch and see all the effort I put into trying to find the hematite that I was after, that I worked so hard for. Yes, I did work very hard for it. And you will see that might is not the same thing as is. So that's the density search mode. And then the node search is the one that I just used to see, is there any of this resource left nearby? And that's what told me, hey, there's more. So then I kept digging. I had to trace it and find out where it was at. And I got more of what I was looking for. So you have to, this is the normal tab in your chat window that's open. To look at the information from your prospecting pick, you must look at info log. You've got damage logs, which tells you what has hurt you and how much did they hurt you, etc. Server info is just telling you what's going on the server. So to use the prospecting pick, gotta have your chat set to info log. Otherwise you won't get this information. Boy, that's a lot of information from a guy that said he wasn't going to do a tutorial. There's so much more to learn though. You did not get a full tutorial. You got a very simple tutorial that glossed over many things. There are more things to learn. How to use it to triangulate all these different things. So there's more. There's excellent tutorials out there in the world. Haven't made one, so you can't get that from me right now, but maybe I'll make one of those. All right, moving off the subject of back to the game. So we did collect a good amount of copper, more than you might think, but that's because it's rich. So each one of these is going to give me 25 units of copper. If you read right up here when I mouse over it, okay, you've got the picture, and then just to the left of that, it says 25 units of copper. That means that when I use the hammer and I break this chunk, it's going to give me 5 nuggets of copper. So it's going to give me 5 pieces in the form of nuggets versus what its current state, which is a chunk. When we melt things, we melt nuggets, not chunks. Okay? So these are nuggets. Each one of these is going to make 5 of those. So there's more here than what it looks like, as I said. So I need that to get to 116. So I'm going to break up these 39. I'm going to pop these in here for usage. So for another batch of 25 ingots, I want those full stacks, and then I need to get rid of 12 to get to the exact number that I need to fill the quern to make 25 ingots. Not the quern, the crucible. So here's the crucible. This is what we make from clay to be able to fire our metals in and to melt them. So as I add these, whoa, okay, jerk. you're going to be dead very soon. I'll be glad to oblige you of that privilege. What I won't do is stand here, while you beating the crap out of me. Have more lights. That's kind of the point of all this. So as I add this stack of 128, you can see that each one of these is worth 5 units of copper. You see that at the very bottom. Dude, do you not see me giving valuable information to the viewership out there? Some people don't know these things, dude. You're pretty freaking rude. That's just rude. Okay. So if you took 128 and multiplied it by 5, you would come up with 640. So then we add another one, so we're at 1280 and another one. And now you see we're at 2500. 100 units is what makes up an ingot. And ingots are what we're trying to make. We're making ingots because the only way to get copper plates are from ingots. So we're taking our copper, we're melting it, and then we're pouring it into the ingot molds here. Each one will hold 100 units of molten copper liquid. When it cools, then you get to collect it and you have yourself an ingot. So copper requires 1084 degrees Celsius to liquefy. Its melting temperature. So they were stone cold when we put them in. And so we took our crucible that we made out of clay. We added the copper that we want to melt. And we know how much that is. And then we need to add the fuel. Right now I'm using black coal. You can use to melt copper, brown coal, black coal, charcoal, anthracite. And those will all get the copper hot enough. Black coal happens to get to 1200 degrees C, so that is more than enough temperature to meet the 1084 degrees C. And you can see now we're actually starting to do some actual melting. So I've done this enough times to know that if I put in 9 pieces of black coal, that is just barely enough to melt these 2500 units of copper. So this, we haven't reached max temperature, which is 1200, but you see that this temperature continues to rise as we continue to burn this fuel. And it'll hit 1200 and then this will stop going up. But as this sits at 1200, this will continue to rise until it matches the 1200 or the heat value from the fuel, which in this case black coal is 1200. So this will continue to rise. As this temperature rises, it takes a very, very long time to melt 2500 units of copper. You see there's a little green progress bar here, and that has to reach all the way to the end. And it seems like it sits there for an eternity when it looks like it's done. When it's done melting your metal, the crucible will be moved from here, which is sitting over the heat source, and it will be moved over here to let you know that it's finished. If I run out of fuel and I stop heating this value will start to drop. It gets below 1084, this stops melting. As long as it sits at 1084, this will continue to become liquefied. But it has to be at a high temperature, and the other factor is time. It has to be hot enough or long enough to turn this into liquid. So, it takes a while. So in the meantime, we don't have to just sit here and watch that. We can do other things, But what you don't want to do, every vintage story player has done this, you don't want to walk away from this, have it run out of fuel so it stops heating. And by the way, when it moves from here to here, even if you're producing here, this is cooling. As soon as it is moved from here to here, it begins to cool. So you might still be burning fuel, but when it's done liquefying, it's moved out of there, and it is no longer being heated by your fuel source. Even though you're still burning it, even though it could stay hot, it will begin to cool immediately when it's moved over. It takes a long time to cool down, but that's what happens. So my point is, you can't abandon this. You do have to tend to this process. Otherwise, you end up having to move it back over here and heat it up to get it liquefied. When you take a crucible that has metal that has already been liquefied, it takes far less fuel to reheat this to get it liquefied, and it'll move over here. So if it cools down before you get it all poured, don't panic. You can't use the crucible until you empty it, but all you have to do is heat it up, liquefy it, and then you can pour it. Now, the only thing you're seeing me doing is using ingot molds right now. This is not the only thing you can pour liquefied metal into. Somewhere over here I have more molds made from copper that then were fired in the pit kilns. So I have pickaxe mold, hammer mold, axe, prospecting pick, and shovel. If I wanted any of these items, it would be foolish for me to pour it into the ingot molds, because it has to sit here until it cools down. A cold ingot cannot be turned into something until it's reheated. So you have to take it here, put it in the forge, place more fuel. Okay, so you already spent fuel to melt it once. You pour it into the ingot mold. Now you have to come and put fuel here, so costs you more fuel, costs you more time. Get it hot enough before you can place it on the anvil, and then use the hammer to work the metal and shape it into what you're after. So you cannot make molds for everything, but you can make many molds. If I want a pickaxe, I'm an idiot if I go pour ingots to make pickaxes. But if I don't know what I want to use the copper for, pour them in ingots, and then you can always turn them into what you want. But if I know I want pickaxes, take these and place them on the ground. And then when I have my molten metal here, I come over here and I just pour it into the mold. Once it's cooled, I have my completely functional metal portion of the pickaxe. You need to add a stick to it to turn it into the tool, but anyways, so early game, no, you're not using those ingot molds for your tools, okay? Early game, you're using the ingot molds because you cannot make a mold for a saw. The only way you make a saw is you melt the copper, put it into an ingot. The ingot has to cool. You take the ingot over to the forge, you heat it up, you get it hot enough, you place the ingot onto the anvil, you use the hammer, and you remove and shape until you get a saw blade. Then you add your stick to it. So there are some things you cannot make molds for that are super important. Saw is one of the most valuable pieces oh, good grief, how am I missing so bad in vintage story, because it is kind of a gateway tool. You cannot cannot make wood. All you have are logs to work with. You can make firewood, but you can't make wood. Well, if I want a storage chest, I can't make it until I can get wood. I can't get wood until I have a saw. Wow. I wasn't planning tutorial day, but I'm happy to share. I hope somebody's enjoying this and learning something from it, because that is the point. Okay. You can see the amount of time this is taking, and it's nowhere near ready yet. It might look like it's getting close, but there's still a lot of time. So if I want a lantern, the only way I can get a lantern is by making a metal plate. The only way I can make a metal plate is to heat my metal till it's molten, go pour it into the ingot molds, let it cool, bring it over, put it in the forge, put fuel in it, light it, let it heat up, put it on the anvil. And it takes 2 ingots to make a plate. And you need 1 plate to make a lantern. And you also need candles for the lantern. You also need glass or clear quartz. And then you got yourself a lantern. So ingot molds are very important. They're very useful. You need them. But early game, what you really want are the tool molds. And oftentimes you'll see me make 5 or 6 ProPick or pickaxe molds, because that is the tool that you will find that you use the most. These other molds, flint works just fine. Guess what you can't make with flint? A pickaxe. Okay? No stone pickaxes. It has to be metal. So early game, you've got your sticks, you've got your flint, you can make your tools. Cannot make a pickaxe. Alright, so that's got a little ways to go. Let's go feed the critters. Guys are kind of jerks these days. New to 119 is the hostility with the pigs and other animals. Pigs were never hostile unless you threatened them, something like that. I'm going to move this because I don't want to have to crawl down here to fill it with grain. I see that all the piglets have grown up, so that's cool. Okay, so we fed the boar. The boar does not have to be in with the girls to get them pregnant. When there's no piglets around, the pigs they're not hostile generally. So we have a Gen 1 boar, and our boar that we have in here is no Gen. The boar does not come into advancing in generations. This one's a Gen 1. The original ones I have are no Gen. That's a Gen 1, which means these came from piglets that my girls produced. This one is a no Gen, okay? So this is an original. Boar, of course, is not, because he's a boar. And this is an original. And then these came from piglets. I am going to get rid of the extra boars. I only need 1. I do want to make sure I don't kill what I don't intend to. And if you've watched my series, you know that I'm really good at killing things that I shouldn't. And yeah, didn't really want to. I made the mistake. I think there was a second boar out here, but he's not, yeah. So he's not dark like the one that I just killed, or the one in his little pen. once we get these to bin 3, then I can use a tool called a cleaver, and I can one-shot kill them. That is a very nice state to reach, because then they're not hostile towards you. I don't know what will happen with them with piglets around. But anyways, Gen 3 is a great place to reach. That's why we just keep breeding, and I will get rid of the lower gen pigs over time. Right now I'm trying to build my herd. Anyways, that copper, let's go check it, because it's far more important than making sure the cows have some food. Obviously the fire's gone, it's ready. And this is cooling down, as I said, but it's insignificant right now, but it'll cool down to where everything solidifies, and then you have to reheat it, as I said earlier. So there you have it. A tutorial episode from Lone Wolf. Unintended by me, probably unexpected by you, but I hope some people have found it useful, because you start this game and you don't even know what to do. And that's how I learned to play Vintage Story, was watching videos on YouTube of people playing Vintage Story and tutorials that they made for people like I was. So this wasn't a purpose tutorial, but in the end it certainly was a tutorial. And as soon as I get done pouring all this, we're going to end this episode, because we've reached that threshold of time. That I always seem to run over. I will break my other chunks and see how much copper I have, and if I have enough copper, I'm going to go ahead and make another 25 ingots, because what I need most in life right now are lanterns. Let's go. Oh, yes, okay. I just said the episode was ending, and here I go. Well, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. I have fun playing. If you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing to my channel. And thank you to all those who already have. I appreciate it. If you like a video, please click on that like button and let the world know it. That will bring more people to my channel, and if you're enjoying it, and if you clicked on like, I assume you did, that'll just bring that for other players to enjoy too. If you have questions, comments, anything to share, I'd love to hear it. And you do that by posting comments on these episodes. As always, thank you for watching, and by all means do come watch the next episode, won't you? Thank you, and goodbye.